Welcome everybody to the final episode of DeSPIRIA. I am your host, YSGuru, and I want to thank you for following me in this series. It's been quite a wild ride. But here we go, the final boss of DeSPIRIA. Now this will probably be a pretty long video. I'm going to go ahead and leave in the entire fight of the final boss and how I did it and how it works. There are 3 parts. So 3 different kind of bosses, almost like a Final Fantasy kind of finale end boss. So I'm going to try to keep my commentary to a minimum and enjoy the final fight here in DeSPIRIA, and then I'll catch you all in the credits. If you feel like, skipping certain parts or whatever, I'll go ahead and put some, timestamps in the description so you can skip to the different parts of the final boss if you don't want to watch the full fight. But I was level 55, if anybody was wondering. And I struggled on a few parts of it, but finally made it through to the end. So I hope you enjoy. And when we get to the credits and the ending, I'll be back and talk a little bit about what this game was like playing. And there we go. The end of the final boss. Watashi no sekai ga, my world, I'm disappearing. It's all disappearing. So, you can see this image was like the after the World War III, kind of image. From the beginning of the game. And Lewis saying, it's just that disgusting illusion of a world that you had, all set up. I don't know why he's still talking to Alua. It's like, now it's your turn. She's like, nope, she's not going to do it. So you can protect this world. Chigao, chigao, chigao. No, no, no. Almost like the entire world was, partially illusionary or something, but, Alua doesn't want it to be that way. She doesn't want to be a quote-unquote god sort of person like the final boss was. And hey, we wake up in our room. Back with the actual normal-looking girl from the very beginning of the game, who we helped out in the subway incident. That was a cool part of the game, actually. It was a really good way to sort of suck you in. Get the game started. So, hey, at least she is being nice and positive. But yeah, once again, it's hard to analyze, the ending of this game. There was like, the villain had the god complex. He was going to rule over everything and give everybody the perfect world and absorb everybody's thoughts, emotions. Ma, ma, ma. Actually, not ma, ma, ma. Blah, blah, blah is what I mean. So here we are, the ending scenes. We've got a scene here with Arush, I think was her name. This girl that we had a fight with, and then she did some treatments while she was out of it for her thoughts and emotions, and apparently she's more like a normal girl now with emotions and thoughts and happiness, sadness, whatever. And right now in this dialogue, she's trying to teach this guy, this other boy here with the weird headgear on his jaw, to laugh or cry, show some emotions. So it's like when you're sad, you're supposed to cry. And he's like, even, happy times you can also cry. Prospero Sensei, from the tower, I guess, is teaching quite a few of the kids how to understand and show their emotions. She's upset, saying crying is, you do when you're sad, but when you're happy, you should be smiling and not crying. He's like, okay. So he's trying to laugh. How was that? Dame? Nope, it was completely wrong. Telling him he's terrible at it. But this other boy, she's gonna give up. Doesn't really have the emotions that she has, I guess. All the kids are kind of a work in progress, trying to get them back to normality. Once again, I maybe missed it. I don't know where it was explained, where these children, were born without any kind of emotions or heart. They were just like stone cold zombies, and I guess it was possibly from, Vay Rutherford, possibly absorbing all their souls or whatever, what he's been doing at the hospital all this time. I mean, this is one of those games like Evangelion where, you could do all kinds of bizarre analysis, on the ending and what exactly was really going on. But yeah, just kind of a thought, emotional dialogue conversation there. And then here at the entrance to Eden, we've got the Yakuza boss guy, who apparently got somewhat beat up. He's still got the cigarette in his mouth. But he's got some partial robotic parts there now. And she was, one of the assistants working in their office or whatever, where they were located. Yeah, his name was Billy. So just a bit of follow-up dialogue here. What happened with these characters? While we as Alua were fighting the enemy. Another one of his henchmen, if you remember. They're all kind of deciding what they're going to do next, in this world without their god or whatever. Not their god, but Vay Rutherford playing god, I suppose. So just kind of, what can we do to improve the future? Make some things better here. So was the entire game an illusion? All in Alua's head, perhaps? Who knows? Kind of, a little disappointed with, the basic ending here. It's just kind of, follow-up dialogue of, what people are going to do in the world, and it's kind of nice to see her again. And she has a wish. She wants to kind of work with the, mafia group a bit and see if she can help and improve things. Not sure why I would want to work for Billy, but apparently he's pretty popular. Yeah, I was kind of hoping for some cool cutscenes with Alua herself and, her outfit. Some kind of pan-out scene where, she's sitting on top of a broken building and looking out at the world that she saved. I don't know, maybe that's too Final Fantasy stylish of an ending. So that the girl kind of wants to help out as, Parma did, doing some shop stuff. So this boy is like, hey, look, I was able to smile. Did you see that? What do you think? So I was like, when I smile, something inside, feels fuzzy and interesting. So he's like, hey, Sensei, is this what a heart is? And he said, that's right. You now have a heart. Is that kid's head completely cut off? Like they put some kind of brain into him or something? Anyway, we're back over here with Prospero Sensei, who's, still, doing stuff to help the kids, trying to, give them thoughts and emotions, and basically society can grow up as normal, people with normal feelings. He's like, oh, it's all thanks to Alua. So apparently we did something good to help them out, helping the children out. And he's kind of disappointed that Io didn't live a bit longer to see the world that they've created, since unfortunately Io was killed. So we got some really deep, thoughts here at the end. I noticed that there was another YouTube channel that originally that uploaded a bunch of this game with the dialogue translated in text boxes. So if you're really curious, what it is word for word, some of the ending dialogue here, you can check out that video. Pretty easy to find, since there aren't too many videos of DeSPIRIA that are actually on YouTube. It's only about maybe 2 or 3, so. But yeah, since I haven't really been translating things word for most of this show, here at the end it's very, I don't know, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. It's just the kind of contemplating life sort of dialogue. The choices we've made. But Alua likes this world just the way it is. Without having to live in a mind illusion or somebody else's fantasy world, or where everybody is just a soul all combined into one. You got some weird sort of biblical things going on there at the end, and that's pretty much it for DeSPIRIA. The ending was a little disappointing, to be honest, but on the whole, it was an interesting horror game. So, just my 2 cents, but yeah, I mean, the music was really good in all the fights, and I'm not really a fan of horror games, to be honest. I don't play all that many horror games. In fact, the only ones I've done on my channel were, by request. They weren't actually planned on my list of Japanese games to show, but yeah, this one was quite unique. I'm a fan of Final Fantasy and RPGs, and having the sort of RPG style fighting, as well as the horror storytelling, and the horror enemies, it made for an actually pretty interesting combination. I don't see that this kind of style in like a normal story-driven horror game. Most story-driven kind of horror games are walking around pointing and clicking. Dead of the Brain comes to mind, where you just have all the text flying across the screen and just a massive story and just going around clicking on things until you get to the end. But this had the very unique battle system, as well as the familiars that you could make, and it added quite an interesting strategy to the the fights, which I haven't seen in any other RPG style game. And also, it is really refreshing that all the enemies were different. I know I mentioned that a few times during the playthrough, but almost every single enemy was different. And so this game has just a ton of enemy variety. And unless you just wander around a lot to get some random encounters, most of the enemy encounters were different and unique. So that kept the battle system quite fresh. But yeah, what's the final verdict on DeSPIRIA? It's a good game. It was interesting and fun. I think it was well made. I enjoyed going through it. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it would be mostly a slog, but I enjoyed it. The music, especially the music during the fights, was good, but in other areas the music was good too, and the story did get a little convoluted near the end, but I pretty much expected as much that it would be something like that. But yeah, I would recommend this game. Try it out for yourself once, and if you get stuck, maybe just skip to the episode in this playthrough where you're stuck, and maybe you can see what the next step is and what you're missing, and I hope you could enjoy trying this game for yourself. I want to thank everybody for following me during this series, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks a bunch to the viewer that requested this game. It was a good request. Japan-only game, and I can really see why, as I mentioned in a couple episodes back, I mentioned the reasons why this will probably never see an official English release, or even a fan done one probably will never happen. And I alluded to those reasons a few episodes back. Mostly a lot of child abuse in the game, which is somewhat unacceptable, probably for gaming company rules. I remember when I mentioned that the scene from Tales of Berseria came to mind, where Arturios uses his sword and stabs Lifeset in the chest. And in the English release, the release for Europe and Western countries, that cutscene was completely censored, totally changed, because sticking a sword through a child's chest is not appropriate. But the original Japanese shows it, but the version that was released to English-speaking countries doesn't show it. Kind of shows it off screen. A lot of people complained about that, myself included, because I don't like censorship. But once again, I can understand it was because of kind of the child abuse factor, and that sort of thing is unacceptable. Same thing with Tales of Rebirth. The main theme of the game was racism, and so that's another game that never saw the light of day in English-speaking countries. Just because, even though most of the Tales games have been translated, just, there's a few that, because of their theme, and it just may not be acceptable for other countries to show that. But anyway, I've been rambling on quite a bit. Sorry for that. Just wanted to make the credits a little more entertaining. But once again, I appreciate everybody following me through this entire series. It was a lot of work. It was a lot longer of a game than I thought it would be. But it was fun, and if you have a chance, I recommend checking this out. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Take it easy. One last note before we end here. I wanted to mention that, there is the other bad ending, and I'm going to go ahead and upload that right after this episode. So if you're curious to see what the bad ending looked like, I'll also upload that, just the ending itself. And, it's pretty short. So if you were curious about the bad end, I'll also put that here in the playlist. じゃあ皆さん、またね